Okay, so I don't always know or am up to speed on bands that everybody listens to, despite me always showing off a lot of like new bands or just coming out with stuff on here. But there are those popular bands or just more well-known bands that I don't really ever listen to, never really given them a chance. And, you know, there's several of those out there. One of them is the band Inter Arma. I had never heard this band until a couple of weeks ago. Um, what day was it? It was about a month ago. Their newest album, New Heaven, came out April 26th. I didn't have any inkling of what it was, or really wasn't excited, or really knew anything. And everybody that I'm close friends with in the music scene and the vinyl community and whatever else were really hyping this album up and talking about how fantastic it was. And I was just like, who is this band? Is this some like weird like rock, like indie rock kind of post metal rock band that Relapse has on their label? Because they have a couple of other bands that I'm not a huge fan of. Like Nothing, great band, super talented. I enjoyed their split with Full of Hell last year, but some of their albums have never done anything for me. So I was wondering if it was similar to that situation. Close my laptop here so it doesn't bother me. Anyway, so I went and I listened to this album and was absolutely blown away. I have never heard this band. Didn't know anything about them. I didn't know what style of music they played. I've never heard any of their other albums. So this is their fourth full length, no, fifth full length, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sixth full length album. Except I think one of them that they released was just a covers album, so I don't know if that really counts. Out on Relapse Records, New Heaven, April 26th. So I listened to it a couple weeks after it came out. My first initial listen was like, well, I was not expecting this sound at all. And I'm hearing that this is not necessarily what they sound like on their past records, that this was pretty much they've gone in kind of a different direction here. That's just what I've been told. I don't know that for fact. Again, I have yet to go back and listen to any of their albums. But this album has absolutely blown me away. It's a shock. Kind of came out of nowhere. And I wanted to talk about it today. But first, I'll show you the CD. I did end up getting the CD. I debated going back and forth about getting the record or the CD because there really wasn't that much of a difference in price point. When it came together with shipping and stuff, it was like maybe like an $8 difference. I just went ahead with the CD because I wasn't too sure how often I was going to listen to this album. However, since I've ordered this and got it in, I've been finding myself listening to this album every day. So maybe I'll get the vinyl record when I start collecting again and doing all of that. But for now, I'm happy with just the CD. So this is their new album, like I said, New Heaven. The hype sticker says, Inter Arma returns with New Heaven, the hardest hitting and most extreme record in their storied career. So again, it sounds like this is a quite different album. A virtual symphony of pummeling, dissonant riffs sculpted with unrelenting precision. That's a very accurate statement on the hype sticker. And sometimes hype stickers are not correct, but that is a very accurate statement. So I'll show you the CD and stuff just in case if you're thinking about ordering this and you want to know what it looks like. I do, Relapse does their standard jewel cases and booklets and stuff. I love this album artwork. It's just, spacey, pretty cool picture, or art. I don't know. But anyway, lyrics, again, with that spacey, earthy theme throughout, which again, this album cover, I wouldn't necessarily assume what this music sounded like with this album cover. So you kind of get tricked on that too. Again, I don't know a whole lot about this band. A lot of my friends are really like big fans of them. They love their albums. They've been following them for years now, but it looks like they've been around since about 2010 when their first full length came out. They're out of Virginia, so they're a U.S. band, and it says on Metal Archives that they're a sludge, black death, post-metal band. That's pretty accurate because it's pretty much all of that on this album, and then some. So right out the gate, the first song is the title track, New Heaven. I could have sworn I turned on a Portal album because it sounded very similar to Portal. However, not as undigestible, because sometimes Portal music just is too much for my brain. This is the vocal style. And then, yeah, there's some very like chaotic riffing that they have in there, but it's all very cohesive and it's all very digestible. Not as much as, you know, sometimes Portal can really make me just not like uncomfortable. I don't really care. Don't want to listen to this anymore. And same thing with Imperial Triumphant. The vocal style is kind of similar to that too. Very deep growl that just is evil as fuck sounding. But that song is what drug me in. When I heard this, I was like, holy shit, this is a heavy album. Like, where has this band been? Like, have I never heard this band before? Because it is just a crushing album. And it's also a pretty album because there's some songs that have clean singing that are very like country style, like old school country style sounding, like twang singing, I guess you could say, with the clean vocal style. It like not like modern country, like I'm talking like an older Western style of country singing music over rock, metal, post-metal themes. It's very strange. Like, I was not expecting that. And those are some of the last couple of songs on the album. But then there's these really just brutal, scathing, high-pitched, shrill, screaming songs in the middle of the album. Like, Desolation's Heart is such a great song. Endless Gray, Violent Seizures, like, they incorporate like this really hard, like this like post-black metal, high-pitched screaming sound onto this album. So we've got like the Portal style of dissonant death metal. We've got this like post black metal / black metalness. Then there's like that, like there is sludge on here, and it's not as I don't hear it a lot, and I don't hear like noise a whole lot. Even though the credits has like them as like vocals, blah blah blah, noise. Samples and noise, and like, yeah, there's definitely those elements on here, but it's not like a straight up like Primitive Man noise album or a straight up Full of Hell, not like that. Like, but it's pretty layered in for a lot of this music, and just in general, there's a lot of things going on in here, but it's also a very fun listen. It's a very ambitious album. Like, they put a lot of different layers and different styles of music in one album. There's a lot of chaos at some points. Some of it is just makes you feel like uneasy, like especially the first song. New Heaven's a pretty Portal sounding song, but just heavy as hell. It's like some of these songs are some of the heaviest songs I've heard all year. And that is how I feel about Primitive Man. Primitive Man makes me feel all these same things that I'm feeling as I'm listening to this album. It makes me feel uncomfortable at times. Not uncomfortable, like just really like what am I listening to? And kind of exhausted. And then it just gets super heavy and you're like, this is incredible. This is so fucking head crushing. And then it has like these really obscure moments that you're just like, what is going on? But it works. And you end up loving it. And that's how I feel about this album. It did not take me a while to wrap my head around this record. I know some people have said that in their reviews. I was watching some YouTube videos and stuff like that just to see like what the consensus was on the album. And a lot of what the people are saying are exactly how I feel in regards to how it's just got a lot of elements to it that can be pretty tough on somebody who's not used to listening to this style of music, or possibly have been into Arma fans and maybe their past records didn't sound exactly like this, although I don't know and I can't say that. So please, in the comments, if you're very familiar with this band, please tell me that. I am going to go back and listen to their other albums, but I'm worried that I'm not going to like them because people keep telling me like this is a pretty experimental album that they've done, and I like it. I think it's fantastic. Like, I think it's so good. On the album's back half of the album, Nick, the singer, his clean vocals are like dramatic and very not like theatrical, but like I said, they're not just clean vocals. Like, there's an element to them that makes them sound pretty much unique. And then the front half is like the blackened shrieks, and then the like just lower register growls of death metal that sound similar to Portal. It's a very, I guess, psychedelic I don't even know, because like, I don't know if that's even the right term, style of record. It's just experimental. It's not your regular straight and narrow black metal album. It's not your regular straight and narrow death metal album. It's not your regular straight and narrow like core album. I don't even know if that was worthy of bringing up on this, because it's not, because there's no core on this at all. But at this point, the band's been around for 20 years or so, and it sounds like they just keep putting out great music. So now all this has done is I'm a new fan. I'm going to go back. I'm going to listen to their past discography. But this album came out of nowhere for me, and I am just, wow, like stunned at how much I enjoyed it. It's not for everybody. I know there's going to be people that tell me they just couldn't get into it. They can't, like, it's just too different, blah, blah, blah. There's too much going on in it. It's not just a meat and potatoes death metal album. It's not just your standard true cult black metal album. There's too much of this, and like that's going to be the consensus across the board. But for me personally, I really have enjoyed this album. I was shocked by it. I couldn't believe, like, I can't believe I've never heard this band before. It's just a band that I've always just assumed that maybe they were like another High on Fire, which, no offense to High on Fire, but I can't get into them. Or another Mastodon, which I like the first two Mastodon albums. Like, I assumed, I kind of lumped them in with that style of metal music, and just, assumed that that's what it was. And no, I mean, it scratched the itch on every level that I didn't think would be possible, but it does. They just incorporate so many things. So it's a phenomenal record. It is a pretty easy listen. It's quick. It's not too long. It doesn't overstay its welcome. The longest track on this album is around 7 minutes, which isn't too bad, considering sometimes when there's these style of albums, the songs can just really drag on for too much and just really make you feel exhausted. It's 8 tracks, 41 minutes long. Like I said, side B has a lot of the clean singing. And then the side A, really front-loaded, much heavier sounding songs. It's interesting how they've done that. I'm not too sure. In regards to the flow of the music, I'm so used to listening to the album now, it doesn't really bother me that that's how it's situated. But I can see some people wishing that maybe they didn't make it so half and half for the most part. I mean, there is heavy elements to the second side, but the more clean singing is on the... I'm not too sure. That might be the only criticism I have of this. Other than that, phenomenal record. I am blown away by it, and I just absolutely love it. So that's all that I had today. That is my crazy review that I didn't think I would ever be doing this year. Again, like I said, right now I'm enjoying the CD, but I definitely think I might actually get this on vinyl when the time is allowable for me to do so. But good stuff. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, and if you've never heard this band, let me know, because I feel like I'm missing out on something for the last 20 years. And I'm definitely going to go back and listen to their last albums. That's all I have, and I'll see you guys in the next one.